Hey there everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Brickworld Indy 2019, and today I'm going to give you a look at the whole show floor here at Brickworld Indy. So this is at the Indiana State Fairgrounds in Indianapolis, Indiana, and a really nice show that they hold every year here. And so we'll start off with this large Pirates of the Caribbean layout. This is done by a builder named Scott Wright, and if you watched our coverage from this show last year, you might actually remember a much smaller version of this layout. So he added a ton of new builds, expanded it massively, new ships and updated stuff. So we did a more in-depth video that we'll definitely have on the channel with this, but I always love talking to Scott and seeing what he brings to the shows, so this is certainly a highlight here. Some more of his work here is micro scale city there, and then that's of the Franklin, Indiana Town Square. Here's a model of, I believe, the factory where Scott works. That's what that's modeled after. There's a little Lord of the Rings build, and then the USS Indianapolis, which was actually just recently found in the last couple of years. And then if we come around the corner, this is a large Friends. They even have some custom tablecloths here that say Friends on them, a big zoo, so you can see all the different animals in there. At the elephants, I like the camels, using great use of those Egypt pieces from some of the older Lego themes there. And then some more Friends stuff on the left here. You've got the whole nice pond, lots of fishing, and the farming scenes down here. And then if we come around the corner, this whole layout right here, which you can see the builder briefly switching something out on. So this is James Burrows and his incredible large, how many feet of track is this?
91 feet, 10 inches.
There we go. So it's 91 feet, 10 inches of roller coaster track. And we recorded a more in-depth video that we'll definitely post out for you guys on this. So if you want to see more details, check that out as well. But this is a whole massive layout Lego roller coaster here. So many fun details from all of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies in here. Lots and lots to look at. So definitely another highlight for me at the show. Then we'll move down this direction. So this next square is kind of a train town layout. You can see the train on the track as you come into the train yard. So you've got the big kind of brick building there it can sit in. You got Brick Model Railroader there. Do awesome Lego kits. Definitely check them out if you haven't seen their stuff. And then round the corner here, you got this very nicely detailed. Look at that. It's all plates there built up to create the brick effect on that building, which always creates so much little detail in there. The sloped road is really nice here. 1x2 pieces to get that slope down. And then the giant wind turbine at the Vestas wind turbine. And then here's kind of another train yard in the edge of the city here. And then coming down this direction, we have a very impressive crate build. And so this actually right now is not at its 100%, because when it's all turned on and going, there's a bunch of lights in several of these builds. There's some movement involved, and so this builder really tried his best to differentiate his from some of the other crates that we've seen out there. So shout out to Zach and this really great build here of crate. It's so cool to see a builder's kind of a different take, even though they're depicting the same scene. And then speaking of a different take on things, here's the VW bus as a Star Wars walker. So that's certainly something you don't see every day. And these models are also by Zach as well here. They brought a number of impressive builds. Then down here we transition to some military stuff. So I love the use of the Toy Story Green Army Man base plates to kind of display the minifigs. And then you've got whole Warhammer 40K builds here depicting lots of detail in those minifigs. The minifigs really stand out there. Fallout robots and mini builds here. So for fans of Fallout, you might recognize some of the different mini builds in that display. Then a whole giant city layout. So you've got the shield, the helicarrier up there on the top right. And then all sorts of action coming around the city. You've got a cow being kidnapped there by some extraterrestrial visitors. Firemen hard at work putting out the fire. Next to that, you transition into this whole play area. So you've got carnival rides, you've got roller coasters, Ferris wheels, merry-go-round, even a hot air balloon going up there. And I should mention, I believe all of these builds that we've been showing are from the Southern Ohio LEGO user group, and so this is kind of a bunch of their members displaying stuff all together here. Next, you get to a big construction site. These are some quite tall LEGO cranes with another hot air balloon way up there. You can see the skyscraper going up there. Coming down this direction, you've got a pizzeria, all sorts of fun details and buildings there. You got kind of the city pool. Here's a big antenna TV tower looking thing in the corner. And then this is the NASA space area of the layout. All different versions of LEGO spacecraft over the years. Finally, from the Southern Ohio group, we have this layout, which is actually a nice multi-tiered. So you've got the bottom part here is under the water, and so shipwrecks, you've got sharks, all sorts of aqua-themed LEGO kits that they've released over the years. And then on top, you've got helicopters and all the boats and everything above the water. I like what they did with the kind of illusion of the whale going through there. Just the kind of brick-built small portion. They got the LEGO Ideas fishing cabin, fishing store build here. So some excellent builds there. We'll keep going down this direction and get the last layout in this row of displays. As we walk down here, real quick, you can see some of the vendors to my right. So this show, like many LEGO shows, the vendors are kind of set up on the outside wall, and then all of the builds are in the middle, and so that kind of keeps traffic going nicely. Over here we have a giant Elves layout, and you can see a couple of the builders that have been hard at work there, keeping this area going throughout the day. And lots of pretty colors here, one of the nicest looking layouts in terms of coloring at the show. And then up top, I love the flower there. And we even have a cake from Lego Movie 2 there with the Banana Man, one of the best characters to ever show up in any movie ever. Over here, this is, if you've watched our tours of Brickworld Indy in past years, you might recognize some of these large trucks and vehicles. This builder always brings some really impressive stuff every year. So you can see some big semi-trucks. This big truck even has the smaller construction vehicles on the back there. And then even more, I got sports cars. Here's a pallet pusher. Picks up some pallets there. And then here you've got Palm City. So I think a lot of this layout is what the builder's called Palm City. And you can see the very nice looking palm trees that indicate that. This would be the train station. I love the nice black tiling mixed with the glass for that train station look back there. Here you can actually see into the building, one of the houses. Some more construction in Palm City, making some more houses and buildings. And then this is kind of this corner here is the main layout, or some of the main houses at least in it, with some custom buildings. I love all that style of architecture with the palm trees. You don't see that a lot with Lego. And then the downtown area of Palm City. And here is some Remax housing signage custom printed there on some bricks. So lots of fun details. And then this next area we'll check out has some excellent rides here by Dave Guan. So these are all sorts of rides that move, have some lights in them, just really entertaining to look at. And the minifigs get to have a lot of fun riding around on those. To the left of Dave's rides, we've got some of these sort of steampunk looking ships. So some more stuff by Dave using the old imperial looking men. And then also this train with the fire coming out of it is very nice. Here's a giant Friends city. So this is a big Friends train layout, and then the city is in the middle. So it looks like it incorporates a whole bunch of the Friends kits and kind of brings the whole city together, while also using kind of custom trees. They've even got custom stop and go lights there and street signs. So there's lots to look at there if you're a fan of the Friends theme. This layout is giant. I think the builder did this just to show off every type of Star Wars minifig made. So massive, massive Star Wars battle here. Tons and tons of variety of minifigs. You've got some of the turrets on top there. Some ships in the background, but you've even got some like gold chrome weapons in there. So maybe some third-party stuff going on. Certainly a lot to take in. Over here, so this layout is the giant Mishlug layout. And so these are some builders in Michigan who build lots of different stuff, starting with all of these custom kind of fall-colored trees with some great leaves on there. You can see kind of a campground. And then if you come around the corner here, it's their giant buildings. And these buildings, it's highly unusual to see buildings of this size, this tall and this wide, built at a Lego fan convention. You see this typically, maybe at an official Legoland theme park or Discovery Center. But to see a fan building in this size is not very common. So this is really incredible to have this many buildings all at a show, kind of all in one layout like this. And you can see some nice shout outs to Michigan on this side of the building, in case you were wondering where these builders were from. You've got Superman shooting the web up there. And then the MGM Grand Detroit. So did you help with some of this display?
Absolutely. This is myself and Scott Thompson and Jim Morin. These 6 buildings on the first side are combination of all 3 of us, and then the final 3 on the far side are mine.
That's fantastic. I was just commenting about how unusual it is to see, fan-built models of this size. Normally you'd see this like a Legoland park or something like that. So what inspires you guys to build so massive like this?
We've got a member in our group called Jim Garrett, and he is an avid Detroit fan, and he's always built big. And we've pretty much followed suit with him. We probably have over a dozen Detroit buildings that are 5 feet or taller. Real buildings.
Yeah.
Based on real life. And right now I've actually started to order parts for the Detroit train station, which is going to be resurrected by the Ford Motor Company. It's sat vacant for the last 25 years, 30 years, and they're going to rebuild it, refurbish it, and I am going to build it out of Lego.
Yeah, that'll be great. What are the logistics like with buildings of this size, both in terms of storing them when you aren't displaying them and also getting them to the show and displaying them?
It's all about sections. I mean, these bigger buildings, that's 3 sections there. That's 4 sections. Some of my buildings are 6 and 8 sections. It's all about building them strong enough. Basically, they're nothing but big boxes and inner walls, inner bracing, and keeping them in boxes so that you can have a shot that if something falls off, it's in the box and you can repair it when you get to the show. And in this case, I spent about 2 hours repairing buildings when I got here out of the 50 man hours for this display, because Michigan roads into Ohio, which aren't much better, and Indiana roads are actually closer to Michigan roads, sadly. So yeah, it was a rough drive.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's impressive work, so I'm glad you put in the work to bring them here and set it up. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And then if we round the corner on the display, we've got a whole bunch of large pirate ships here. So this is kind of a good example of a variety of different Lego ships made from over the years. So longtime Lego fans will recognize some stuff going back, 20, 30 years in this display, all the way to more recent ships as well. Another nice example of the ideas, Anton's Bait Shop there. I know that was a very popular kit, and you see that incorporated in scenes quite frequently. Got a little haunted mansion, another Vestas wind turbine, and some more of the brick buildings here. As you go around, it looks like you got the hospital on top there, where you get the big helicopter. And then one of the main features of this is the trains to go along with the town. So you've got major sections of train tracks that run all the way around, and they'll have the trains running while the public's here. And then another look at some of these big buildings over here. So that is the very impressive Mishlug city and train layout. Now we'll keep going down to this section and start with one of the more unique ways of building a natural terrain that I've seen on a Lego display. So this layout uses trees that look real as the terrain for the Star Wars Endor build, and then they use the Bionicle kind of contraction style figures for the scene. And so I think the builders thought that's kind of the right scale when you're using figures of that size, and you can just go ahead and use the giant real life looking trees. So not something you see very often, but still good work, and I think it's neat to see something different. Here is a quick example of Forma. So if anyone remembers that, the crowd-funded project that Lego did, there's some Forma there. We should have a video up of how that works on the channel. And then Apocalypseburg. So for fans of Lego Movie 2, you've got, I believe this is the official Lego kit kind of in the middle here with the Statue of Liberty. The whole scene is then built around it, and so there's all sorts of different details. I like this giant batarang in there, kind of upscaled batarang. Then there's a whole, so we got Arctic exploration here, so maybe like an oil rig looking thing out in the water, and then all of the white Arctic area with the orange vehicles. That orange color scheme is always really fun to look at on vehicles. Got a campground next to that, so you can see a bunch of the big campers setting up shop here. You got some eating areas and cabins, and then a playground for the kids and stuff over here. And then construction in the back. Lots of construction here in Indiana. And then we've got another Elves layout. So this captures a look at a bunch of the different Elves sets. And I know a lot of people were disappointed when Lego stopped making Elves sets because you can see why here when there's so many amazing colors and minifigs and creatures that were made for them. And then if move on to that, we have to the left slightly more realistic looking Endor build that uses much more traditional trees and traditional Lego pieces to recreate the scene there. So this will look much more similar to the ones we featured in the past than the real life tree one. And then to the left of that, we actually have a large clone army here. So you can see the builder once again showing off some large Star Wars minifig collections here with the kind of hangar bay display. And then the big Hoth build with the trench in the background. All of the troops storming in, ready for the assault. So one thing here that is sort of interesting, you don't see real often, is the use of these kind of tiled, flat, smooth-looking slope pieces here to create the snow. And so it really gives that nice curved effect to the whole thing and kind of gives that bumpy, hilly look to the snow, so it's not all just flat base plates. You got the small scene here. I think it's the Tatooine scene, so you get a little bit of that. And then we'll move on to the next layout here. This is a big build we featured in past years here at the show, and the builder just continues to improve it. And it's really neat because you can sit here and operate the build, pick up all the different bricks, and dump them on top there as the show goes on. So that's a lot of fun to watch. This black tent over here is actually a black light tent, and so while the public's here, the black light will be on, and then it makes all of these creations that use translucent Lego pieces really light up and look really impressive. And so this is a builder who's been doing this at Brickworld shows for a number of years and just does really fantastic work. Always look forward to seeing what her builds look like and what she has to bring. Here's another smaller town layout with some of the modulars. A little Eclipse Graphics billboard. Shout out to Eclipse Graphics. And then some excellent builds here. John just zoomed in here. I definitely want to talk about this incredible use of the Mars mission aliens as the greenery on this tree here, which is just such a brilliant idea. And you have to look really closely to even realize what it is. It's hard to tell at first, but that's amazing. And then the rest of these variety of flowers and flower pots. This is just fantastic work. And even a little tea set there. And then we'll come back around this corner as well and head towards what should be the Indiana Jones display. So we've got David Gregory here with us. So what is your thoughts on this Indiana Jones layout here?
Well, I think he did a great job on it. I believe this was built by Brian Williams, and you've got all kinds of little like seek and find items, little things that weren't actually in the movie, but minifigs can sometimes spice up a layout and make it fun for people to look at, say, oh, hey, I see so-and-so, I see so-and-so, and so it adds a level of things that weren't, actually in the film, but it adds a level of fun.
Exactly, especially for kids who maybe, you could have the most impressive build here, but a kid will pick up on the one little Easter egg you threw in there, some random minifig or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything that, it could be Star Wars, it could be Harry Potter, anything that's got a movie or cartoon made out of it, the kids will love it.
Thank you very much. So yeah, this is Brian Williams, a big Indiana Jones layout. He's actually planning to, I believe, expand on this idea because there's supposed to be an Indiana Jones movie. I think in roughly 2 years it's supposed to come out, a new Indiana Jones movie. So he's doing different scenes from the past movies, and then we'll hopefully be able to capture some of the scenes from the new movie when it comes out. So there's lots of lights and stuff that aren't on right now, and then the trains move. There's a lot of fun details to look for in this layout. This is a Duplo train layout, which is not something you see real often. So you've got the big pirate ship, kind of the river area with the barns. Then you've got this whole area with the farm over here. It's almost like a zoo area with the penguins, the polar bears in the distance, and then the trains that run around. So apparently someone had some Duplo sitting around and decided to make a whole layout with it here. So it is certainly a very unique looking design.
While this doesn't look like something AFOLs would be really excited about, this was a totally unique thing when it came to the kids that got excited about seeing stuff here at the show. So it was an experiment by Indy Lug. This is a collaboration. So it's really neat that it turned out and it's gotten a lot of attention from the public, and that's what it was about. Obviously, it's not something that will win awards in Chicago, but it may come to Chicago because good public stuff is needed there too.
Right, that makes sense. I think it's really easy for the adult builders to overlook that there's a lot of kids coming to these shows, and that building for kids really helps inspire them to then go back and build more themselves and grow up to become the AFOLs of the future. Thank you for the insight, Brian. Little word from Brian Bonahum there to give you some insight into the displays at the show. So we'll move over here now. So if we start with this building right here, it's a big kind of dolphin show inside there. It's almost like a SeaWorld type show. And then in front, you've got the go-karts, you've got the whole tire walls to keep everything contained. And then a modular city out front. I think one of the highlights here is the flash running through. That's a technique we've shown in the past, but it always looks really cool just to see that stream of yellow and red behind him. And then an aquarium here behind the big Dolphin show. So this is the Stud Sand Beach, which Brian referenced earlier about being a public favorite. And so one reason for that is you can see how low this is. You'll notice that with a number of different displays is builders here at Brickworld Indy, more than just about any other show, are really conscious about reaching the public in terms of letting kids see down into their display and making sure they can see the builds. And so this is a great example of that. You can see how low this table is, and all of the details on top, so a very small kid would be able to walk up and actually look down and spot all those details, which you might not be able to do at a normal height table. So there's a nice merry-go-round inside the building. Got the Disney Castle, the roller coaster, and then the taller skyscraper buildings all around. This next build is one we featured from last year's show, so you should definitely check out that video if you haven't seen it. This is the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in downtown Indianapolis. As I mentioned, that's where the show is held, so this is a really iconic part of Indianapolis that many people will be familiar with if you've come through the city. And the builder captured it really nicely here. He's even got the light strings hanging down from the top, all the different lamp posts and the minifigs posting outside. He's got Emmett's, three-wheel trike going on there. You might not spot that, but you never know what you'll see here. Then, this is a giant castle layout, Barthington Shire. So you've got what I can only assume is the dark side, judging by the fact that all of their buildings are black on the right side. And then as you move down to the left, these classic-looking knights. I love the horse coverings there and the shields. You've got a bit of a joust going on, the packed crowd, and then the main kind of castle fortification for the lighter side of the display with rivers running through here. So this is a very large layout and a whole lot of minifigs packed into this layout. Let's come across here. So this is the giant Mtron space mining colony, which we've shown you an in-depth video in the past. Definitely make sure to look at that and get a full insight into all of the details and work that goes into Mtron, because there's so much to see here that I can't just pull it all out at once. But just point out some of the bigger stuff, like in the back there, you can see the bigger kind of satellite building, that satellite on top. Some of the vehicles are really creative and really neat. This one here, got the conveyor belts running to the delivery vehicles. And then the tents are up because they'll have black light going as well. So Mtron, such a cool, theme with that red and black look. This giant tower on the left is also one of my favorites, just because of how high they went with it. And I'll talk about this stuff real quick as well before we continue around the corner there. So this is, I believe, all the same builder, this section. One of the things here, shout out to Jake Sadovich, designer of the Lego Ship in a Bottle, for his great work that inspired this builder to do a completely brick-built display of different ships in a bottle. So the walls and everything here, there's even a drawer that pulls out at the bottom. This is all brick-built. And then he's got different scenes inside every bottle. So it's different colored ships. One's all black. You've got Jack Sparrow being chased by a shark up here. I really love the kind of skull on the side. So this is all brick built, and just goes to show how builders can inspire great creations with their work. Then there's also a Lego guitar here. It appears to have one string at the moment. And then the tower next to that has a whole lot going on in it. So you've got Batman-inspired minifigs, you've got The Hobbit, you've got Harry Potter, some Iron Man there. So all sorts of different movies and books and comics-inspired work here. And we can come around to the front and show that as well. You've got some of the old medieval market village-type buildings. It's very medieval looking from the front with the different color masonry bricks finishing it off. And then this is a small scene set up next to the ocean with the small roller coaster and all the buildings out there. Nice little yellow submarine. So if we come back to this side, you get all of these giant Technic builds here. So here, this is a nice example of some farming equipment. You might see some similar farming equipment if you have ever had the pleasure to drive through Indiana. We have a lot of that going around on our roads, trying not to clog it up too bad. And then down here you get to the more impressive sports cars line. Here we have Starry Night. So this whole section is mosaics, and this is done, I believe, by E.J. Bocan, and he does lots of excellent work. He's done a number of these mosaics, some of which we've shown you in the past. So in the Rainbow Gecko, here's Super Mario. This is kind of two different types of mosaics in one. So you've got the cheese slope kind of lenticular look for the dinosaur, and then just the regular kind of flat mosaic on the back there. Here's the more artistic take on the equality work in progress sign there. Build the rainbow, create. It's got kind of the crayon look at the top. We Can Do It, Rosie the Riveter. Got some Freddie Mercury, one of my favorites. Deadpool uses a whole bunch of red and black weapons to create the head there. That's pretty fantastic. Iron Man and the Dark Knight. So some truly fantastic mosaics on display at these LEGO shows. Here's a giant globe, the Brickworld globe. This is a nice little micro city layout here. And it looks like we've got a true highlight. John found that and just zoomed right in. That's a good job there, John. And then we've got the logos of local Indiana sports teams. You've got the big fight night going on here. I think I spot a Kevin Hinkle minifig sitting front and center there. Got the expensive seats. Then Batman build here. So, and we'll keep going this direction. Got a few more displays to show you. Here is another build that we've done more in-depth video on that you should check out if you haven't seen it. This is I believe it's called the Robo Rally. And so when it's all running, you can see how the robots all move and everything. Definitely look for that video if you want to check it out. Some Star Wars displays here. Here's a nice large castle chess set. And then smaller pirate chess set. Basically, a lot of the LEGO chess sets are here. And then this giant Technic chess set, which is massive layout and very impressive to actually see played. It's always fun to look at that. Some more large Technic vehicles. You got helicopters, got tracked vehicles, cars, trucks, everything in there. And then next to that is, I believe this is a sort of a collaborative Minecraft layout. And so it's got 3-4 different layers. Starts at the bottom starts at the top where everything's green, and then you go down the layers, you get rocks and lava and everything else in there. So Minecraft players, I'm sure, will recognize many of the details included in here. You've got, I like this little orange and blue man there. And then as you move down the Minecraft, you've got a couple more mosaic type builds, Link and Zelda. And then the Triforce. And you've got Sprite from A Link to the Past right there. So that's the Super Nintendo. And you even got some LEGO loudspeakers. So then we'll come back down this direction. And as I always mention, do our best to not miss anything. Even though there's a lot of builds on display at the convention floor, we always try to show you as much as we can. Another city train layout, so you've got the hotel with Superman flying around, Batman, Robin, all those different, as David Gregory mentioned earlier, those little minifigs, jokes and Easter eggs can really add a lot to a display. Here is what appears to be a church. I really like they've got some sort of stained glass in there that you can see inside the church. A baseball diamond next to that. And then some more camping areas. There's a lot of camping going on in the displays here at Indy. Then around the corner you've got an old train locomotive that appears to have caught fire. Firemen doing their best to save it. Some newer trains that are in slightly better condition. But I like this. This is the Great West looking train. Sort of almost a steampunk look to it, which is really cool. And then down here we've got Walt Disney's Eeyore. That's always a fun little build. And then a few more Lego buildings. This one here appears to have been inspired by the Lego soccer line. You don't see references to that real often in AFOL creations, so that's pretty unique. Come across the aisle, and we've got what is a mostly giant medieval layout with all sorts of details in here. So we'll start with this little steampunk airship. You've got, I believe that set is from Lord of the Rings. You've got a gathering there. All the medieval joust happening here. Got some of the soldiers fighting in the background, defending the Hogwarts Harry Potter set. So there's a lot of mix of themes here. Here's some neon green spears being thrown by skeletons at knights on horseback. So lots of great crossover happening in this layout. Then you get to the water portion, and you've got another example of many great Lego ships. One of my favorites being this Viking ship right here. Vikings was one of my favorite lines, even though it was very short-lived as far as Lego themes go. I really liked that, and I thought it spawned some really cool minifigs and builds. You've got the pirates attacking some Vikings. So they're battling it out. And then lots of variety of farming and agriculture going on here. And then this layout is excellent rock work, which is always something I admire when builders can make things look so realistic with the Lego slopes and bricks. And so this builder's kind of built up from the ground level all the way up to the top there for the tower. And I really like that. Shout out to Chris for this build here. Another under the water build, sort of similar to some of the ones we saw earlier. And you see some of this, the Lego colored aqua themes. And then a bunch of these sort of coral colors for the ground. Come around the corner here and you've got a bunch of big Lego pirate ships. This one here stands out in particular, very impressive. Great custom build there. I don't think this pirate ship stands much of a chance against that Imperial ship. This one here is a nice little mouse guard look to it, and it's got the kind of ram on the front. You've got a bunch of knights getting ready to battle it out with the crocodile people, who apparently live in this section of the layout with their temples and houses. And the big black and dark red tower. Here's kind of a Stonehenge looking type display. You got like a wizard or witch going on there. The mud is making all of these skeletons come to life. And the angry Unikitty tower over there, which I believe we've shown in the past, but is always entertaining to look at. And then this house interior with the nice color striping is really neat as well. I think that finishes out this medieval section, that we should give a shout out to this battle happening here. Once again, a very mixed force battle. I think those orange guys on the left might be from Toy Story. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I remembered them there. So there's a lot of action happening there as well. big castle, the giant minifig with the cow and the large satchels. And then we got a throwback to kind of Robin Hood woodsman theme. So then we'll come across the aisle to over here, and you got once again some large city train layout. And so these buildings, based on the cards here, they mentioned Benton Harbor, so I think these are based on some of the buildings that you'll see in Benton Harbor and some of the surrounding landscapes. So some more farms and agriculture, lots of very nice trees, packed in leaves there. You've got the Milton Train Works going on, some buildings under construction, Skyline Chili, and then on the left is a whole bunch of giant train tracks. Lots of detail here. You can see how the builder didn't just put the train tracks down, but actually put layers of gray pieces around them, so it really anchored it nicely. You got some farming going on, getting all that good corn picked up. And then past the post, we've got, I believe this is a Ninjago city invasion happening. So hopefully the city of Benton Harbor is going to survive this great invasion. There's also other buildings from St. Joseph, Michigan, Grand Rapids, other areas in Michigan represented here. So you see a nice variety of different builds on display. And then across the aisle from that, I like these kind of character cutouts here. So you've got Santa Claus and some snowmen and different characters. I think that's a unique way of representing characters with Lego. It's a nice little mountain stream layout. So you've got some, I think that guy on the top right there is just there for the Instagram shot. BA's barbecue food truck to the right of that is a pretty funny build. I like that one there. And then little aliens layout. Here's a nice little graveyard. I told you my joints were loose. Apparently that's what someone wanted put on their tombstone. Some nice framed Lego art, which I think is always cool when the builders take the time to really present it nicely like that. And then this is a really neat steampunk / alien layout. So it's this end down here is steampunk, and so you can see a lot of the hallmarks of steampunk type buildings with the gold and the browns and the tan. You can see all the characters, different activities. You get out here, it gets a little more wild with more vegetation. That super cool vehicle there. And then it actually goes up a table, so it has all the rock work to these mouse guards here. And they have this guy in the little octopus type vehicle. I think is a really neat vehicle. And this is where the aliens come in. So I believe the gray vehicles here that use the Star Wars planet pieces are all attacking the steampunk city. And so you've got a couple of UFOs that are landing aliens and then their whole vehicles. We've got a valiant effort from the steampunk navy to fend off the aliens. So we'll have to see what happens there. But a nice build. I love the use of layering of the tables. This whole long section is actually the Great Ball contraption, so we will have a full video with Tom Atkinson on that, but won't actually show it to you now because it's not on, so there's not a lot to see there, and it's kind of boring when it's all just sitting there. So then I think the last row of tables here we'll show you. It starts with this Star Wars layout, and you can see Kylo Ren investigating what's happening, and then you get over here with BB-8 by the ship on the edge of the display. Here's M-Wars, so related to the giant M-Tron display we saw earlier, it takes Star Wars ships and turns them into M-Tron ships in that color scheme. A big individual kind of Endor tree. And then Rey here on Jakku. A couple of Star Wars lightsabers, blaster. Nice Star Trek ship there. And then the little scene here in the bar. I like the M&M's Star Wars. True M&M's fans right there. Combine it with Star Wars. Here's a very large Star Wars scene that we have shown you in the past, so definitely check this video out on the channel if you haven't seen it, because there's a whole bunch of minifigs and battle scenes going on here, lots of details, and then in the back is actually some movement. That's kind of a whole droid factory going on, so there's all sorts of fun details going on in the back as well. Over here is Adventure Time, so any fans of Adventure Time, you will appreciate this. LEGO released the official Adventure Time set, but this is a great little expansion on that with lots of more fun details. Here is some more of the characters from Adventure Time. And then this is just like a little micro collaborative layout here where everyone can build a tiny section. Next to that is Hello Neighbor, really great build that was on display at Brickworld Chicago last year that we featured. So if you're familiar with the game, this build captures a lot of that style, the colors and everything of the game, and it's really neat. Around the corner, we've got, it's just 2x4s at the top, so that's things built from just 2x4s as the mock card would imply. Here we have Thomas grows up, and so this is kind of Thomas the Tank moving into other duties. And then we've got Mickey Mouse piloting a spacecraft over there, Ninjago stuff going on, all sorts of crazy battle stuff happening here. This next whole square of displays was actually done by, I believe, a husband and wife building team, and they've got a variety of themes that they kind of build in. So this first area is all Western, and if you've watched our videos in the past, you've probably heard me mention about my love for Western themes. For Legorado in particular, I really like that original set, my favorite set of all time, and I love how they've expanded it, added so many more troops to it. And then you have the whole Native American display here, kind of divided by the rock mountain pieces. And so you've got all those original Lego teepees on display. They also have the nice sort of riverboat on the left there. Classic looking riverboat. Down here you've got the Addams Family Mansion. And so this, if you're familiar with the iconic TV show, you'll recognize a lot of the scenes inside the house with the minifigs and characters inside the big Addams Family Mansion. We've got the exterior here with the cemetery. And then a very different colored and styled build is this one that takes place during the winter. And so it's a whole cityscape with snow all over. They've got ice skating, all sorts of buildings selling hot dogs and restaurants, post office, you name it, it's there. Then the Ninjago City and Harbor to the right of that display, and some of these are familiar from the Ninjago City invasion we saw in one of the displays earlier. You've got the Ninjago City set on the corner here, and then they expanded on that with kind of the docks idea and made the city a little bit bigger. And then you've got all this action in the water happening here with Garmadon's troops coming in. And then last display section we have here is again a really good example of the lowered tables and how kids can appreciate the builds a lot more. So this whole layout is much lower than the average table height. And this has airfield to start off. I like the little AFOL put into the canopy on top. So you get the whole airport layout, lots of large gray tiles for the airport runway. And then you got the Ghostbusters headquarters, some more modular style buildings, and in a stunning turn of events, we have more farming equipment here on this display as well, with some wind turbines in the back. And then a whole giant area of train tracks. You got like 6, 7, 8 deep there. You go around, and then we'll continue around the corner here, and another Ghostbusters headquarter building. A whole bunch of modular style buildings there. One of them stacked on top of each other a number of times. And then an entire layout of Elves with the lava underneath. You've also got giant skyscrapers over here. I love the classic Octan look, so anything Lego with Octan is always cool in my book. You might have noticed if John's shown any of the signs, the Can You Find Us? So I think this layout incorporates a number of the series, maybe all of them, of collectible minifigs. And so they've got all those different minifigs sprinkled throughout for people to spot them. So I think that finishes everything out for us here at Brickworld Indy with that final display. You've got the whole area to my left back here is a bulk brick area where the public can just sit and build whatever they want with all of this green and red brick on display. So that's always a lot of fun as well. But I hope you enjoyed a look at the displays here at Brickworld Indy. It's always fun to go around and get a closer look at some of the stuff that's easy to miss as you just kind of walk around the convention hall here at the State Fairgrounds. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll have another tour for you soon.